Hey guys, Eli here from Do It Again Games. We are going to do my first and hopefully a line of where I interview normal people about how they feel about video games and their experiences with video games. I'm always interested, and I think that people's normal experiences are interested. Now, this person isn't just a regular person, he's a very close friend, David, and I'm happy that he's going to be my first test guinea pig for this new video format, which we get to, which we'll get to hopefully experience more of. I'm hoping to talk to just normal people about their experience because mine is very deep into video games, and I know David isn't. Given we're surrounded by like a ton of my video game stuff, and I know David doesn't collect the way that I do. I'm always interested in his um his opinions compared to mine, and everyone else's opinions compared to mine. And who are you, and where are you from, David?
Dave Martin from Rochester, New York.
We are going to go through a list of questions and just kind of ask before we get going. Is there anything you want to say about yourself? You like skydiving? You did that
I
recently?
did do. I did go skydiving.
Like,
Flying is one of my big dreams in life. Maybe I should pursue it sometime.
if uh, if you ever become rich enough.
I would love for you to.
I'm not skydiving. I'm
No,
not doing it. I'm not skydiving. Yeah, the fact that you think I
I
want to
can barely
sky,
get you to go on a roller coaster.
like I do like roller coasters well enough. I just don't like. I don't like the sensation of falling. It makes me nauseous. Like it's fun, and then I feel like I'm gonna die afterwards. It kind of takes the fun out of it. Okay, but the first question would be, what age did you start? When was the first time you played a video game that you can remember?
Oh, I was probably maybe 7 or 8. My brother-in-law Tim had this game called Myst. Lots of people know about it, but just a click and point game, really simple, early '90s game. Absolutely fascinated me. I had dreams about it growing up because he owned the game, we didn't. He lent us the game a couple times, and we never got to finish it. So there was always gaps and mystery about this game, and it wasn't until much later that I actually buy my own copy and manage to beat the game.
And it's interesting. I feel like a lot of people's I think mine is probably the same. Where it's just like, yeah, some of my best memories are at when I was at home, but really it was seeing someone else play something. It was something you didn't have, and it was so much above. Like it was just blowing your mind, your little child mind at the time. And same thing with me. I think for me, this is embarrassing, but for me, it was probably the first time I saw like Sega on the Sega Genesis. I'm Sega, Sonic on the Sega Genesis, and just seeing like the speed that that game like showed. Because I think I probably saw it. I don't know what year Sonic 2 came out. I think it was Sonic 2, but that might have been 98 probably, maybe a couple of years after it came out. No idea what year Sonic came out. Sonic 2 came out. But yeah, it really blew my mind. And then the other one I remember was, yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon. It really did blow my mind. But it's interesting. So would that have been on a Windows 95 or Windows 98 computer, or was it a little bit later?
My brother-in-law probably had one of those earlier models.
Mm.
Uh, Personally, I got into computers. Actually, it was you who fixed up one of my first ones or upgraded one of my first
Yeah.
ones. We had an old Millennium Edition, and you put XP on it. Then I grabbed another computer salvaged another computer. You put XP on that, had a nice American flag. You're like, oh, I kept the flag.
That's funny. I remember.
But you're like, I managed to play Dangerous Hunts too on that thing, and
Really?
you were like,
You should not be able to play. I'm like, you have to hold down the clicker and then it fires and then you release.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. The fact that I even turned on, like, knowing, as my child ignorance fixing stuff back then compared to knowing what I know now, it's like there was so many opportunities. We just really didn't have anyone to teach us or access to the information on the internet the way we did. Like, I had dial up, but I didn't know where to find that information. And looking back, video tutorials are so superior now to basically everything else. But uh, what do you think? What's the best game ever made? What do you think the best game ever made? Not your favorite, but technically the best game. A lot of people are gonna say like Mario because if you want to talk about platformers, if you love platformers, Mario is technically the best platformer in the same way that like there's more debate now. Everything has gotten so good, but like Call of Duty has many dumb points to it. It's a dumb game. But as far as shooting the guns go, it is technically, in my opinion, the best shooting game. It has the best pacing. Where something like Halo is great, but it's it's such a tiny timing based thing. But anyways, what do you think is the best game ever made?
That's a tough one. I'm just not sure. It's like I haven't played as many games. I'm more nostalgic about the games that I play. I am still playing the really old games. I got in Counter Strike. You got me into Counter Strike a long time ago, and I
1.6.
1.6. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Honestly not sure what I would consider the best.
Okay, that's fine. Like even me, it's like I don't know what it obviously your opinion always skews whatever it is you like. Where it's just like if you like shooters the most, you're gonna think X is the best. Um, yeah, if you're more nostalgic, it makes it hard. But here's an easier one. What's your favorite game, David? What's just your favorite? What's kind of what do you go to? It's you got an hour till bed and you want to like play something and you just want to have a bit of fun.
Maybe a toss up between Counter Strike and Halo.
So FPSs, that's yeah, kind of your go-to as it were.
I play a lot of Solitaire.
Oh, you're like an old man. You love
Oh yeah,
solitaire.
I'm yeah.
What,
I'm getting
so
up
so
there.
that was my next question. What's your most played game?
Probably Solitaire.
Probably solitaire. Do you play the new Windows 10 version or do you play one of the older versions?
I actually prefer the Windows 7 versions, but I do run the really old versions that you would find off of like XP or older.
Do you know? I believe the new Windows 10 and 11 one. Do you know that has microtransactions in it?
Yes, which is why I
Yeah.
specifically find the Windows 7 package to install on my 10 and up systems.
Oh, okay. That makes sense because yeah, that oh, it's horrible. I hate it so much. I hate that we have to even have a conversation about microtransactions inside of it, inside of Windows 10, like just native programs. It's a dark future for me. I'm not enjoying that part of it. And I switched to Windows 11. You haven't done it yet, but Windows 11 has even more of that good stuff. It's a good time. Oh, favorite gaming moment. What do you like? It can be by yourself. We've had a lot of LAN parties over the years. Like what do you think? What was a moment when you were like it just always pops out when you think of gaming?
I would have to say definitely the LAN parties. Gaming together is primarily what makes gaming worth it for me.
That's all.
And there's a lot of moments to choose from. I can't think of any specific moment, but uh, I guess when you're making kill streaks or actually, you know what? It was at one of the gaming LAN parties we had. I was I had this thing about learning how to use the trackpad really well, really efficiently on my old HP
I remember
laptop.
this. You were godlike at the trackpad. Like you had you it was it was a little disturbing how good you got on the trackpad.
There was a little black smudge, black spot on my trackpad where it was literally worn out, and it was like headshot, 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 headshot.
Yeah,
People were accusing me of cheating. I'm like, nope, not cheating.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I got on my first laptop I bought was one of the old IBM ThinkPads from the 90s, and it's like I got like my finger must be so messed up. Like I'm gonna have like permanent damage from using the little nub, the little red nub in the center of the keyboard for strategy games, because that was like my go-to is Age of Empires on that laptop, like using that little nub to like move around. Like it can't be healthy. I think my finger has an indent in it where I've done that. But yeah, that is
Using the ASW keys with my left hand, my fingers are super like stringy, and when you hit control for crouch or space for sprint, instead of putting my pinky, which would be the closest finger, I would actually cross my thumb across the hand, hit crouch and control.
That's fun. That's funny. My
control
hand,
and shift.
Yeah, my hand doesn't even reach over there. Like I got stubby little fingers compared to you got spidery hands. Now for you, this next question is obvious because you've already spoken to the fact that we're kind of PC boys over here. But the next question is PC or console, Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, why, which, when, where? I know you have some with the Xbox in the past, but
I would say PC is what I'm good at, mouse and keyboard. I'm just not good with a controller. Don't really care to put the time and effort to get good. Xbox, my only preference for Xbox would be Halo exclusives. And PlayStation I admire for their more open source or less overreach, like Microsoft, they're gathering your data and stuff like that. PlayStation just seems to be a little bit more, I guess, user friendly.
and
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I would say you're right because when you were last into the console wars was like 10 years ago, like PlayStation 4. They've now that they're Sony's the market leader, they've become a lot less friendly. Like there was some news like last week about how, like, to be clear, Xbox Game Pass doesn't make any money for Xbox, but what it does do is Sony is paying like people, like you make a game and Xbox goes, we'll pay day one every dollar it took you to make this game. You will at least break even on day one. And if it's really good, we'll pay even more. And Sony comes in and goes, we'll pay you money to not put it on Game Pass. So they're releasing it on everything still. Nintendo, Xbox, they're still releasing it on Xbox. But they're not releasing it free on Game Pass, which free is relative.
It's a subscription.
Yeah, you pay for that. But Sony is paying. So it's like, yeah, they're doing it so they survive because PlayStation, about a little while ago, released their own version of Game Pass. It's different, but obviously, like, Game Pass is on PC. Game Pass has thousands of games instead of hundreds. It's a much better product than Sony's, but yeah, Sony has made a not an awesome turn, but I don't know what else they were going to do. In that case, you said you're a mouse and keyboard. You don't like controllers at all. You just not feeling them as it was.
Yeah, just
you even though I know people who play mouse and keyboard, but they do it on one of those like desk pads on the couch. Do you like sitting in an office chair or you like sitting on a couch?
preferably an office chair, but I'm pretty handy with creating stuff and for years I've been trying to create solutions to find a nice medium. The Steam controller was a hopeful because it does have the trackpad technology.
And you love trackpads.
But and I even thought of something similar. It's like, what if you could make a controller with a trackpad for your thumb?
And when the Steam controller came out, I was super hopeful, but there were just certain design elements of the Steam controller that made it not very good. I could literally hold my mouse and keyboard combo mouse or my keyboard with a trackpad like a controller and swipe my thumb, and I had more accuracy using my Logitech K40 keyboard with a trackpad than I did with the Steam controller. So I was a little bit disappointed with how well the Steam controller. But I'm always when I get around to it, making creative solutions that sometimes work out really well and other times just kind of fall flat on their face.
So you'd like to sit on a couch.
I would love to.
But you don't think that you can. How do you feel your posture is? You feel like when you're gaming, you feel like your posture is good, or you catch yourself going like this, like all the hunch?
Depends how intense it is. The more intense, the more I find myself leaning into it.
So let's see. My next question was about your preference for games, but you've already said basically your preference is RPGs, but you think the most important part of gaming is gaming together, as it were. So I know for that reason you play RTSs with me sometimes. What do you think your favorite FPS is? It is Halo.
Halo was my biggest fantasy. To get Halo 3 on PC was one of my biggest things I've wanted for years and years and years and years. And when finally the Master Chief Collection came out, okay, I played it, and then you're like, we arrived. Sometimes the journey is more enjoyable than the destination.
That's why we're never gonna get Half-Life 3. You know, it's just like nothing. You couldn't put anything out that was going to actually make people happy. Like you're just never going.
I actually have a little bit more nostalgia for Halo 2 because I played it so much more because it was on PC than Halo 3, and Halo 3 was the pie in the sky that I was always reaching for, and then when it came out, like, okay.
Because at the time, Halo 3 was truly incredible as a
Yes.
game. But also, I know you really like Counter-Strike Go, as it were. And would you say that's the game you were most competitive in?
Absolutely. I was really good, and then I feel since the game went free to play, the cheating is probably a huge issue, and it's difficult to tell whether or not you're going up against really good people or just flat out cheaters. So I've kind of haven't played as much CS:GO and probably let myself go a little bit on that game
because you feel like you go, man,
feel like you can't compete.
Yeah, if you feel like you can't compete, and some of that might be getting to. You feel like you're getting older, and it's just, you feel like I have gotten better, but the better is because of practice. And I've been playing more Fortnite, so I know I'm whooping children. So also, I feel like children can't think tactically at all. Like if you watch my video I put out today, actually, it was a video about why I think Fortnite is the best battle royale game of 2022. Because and the biggest part of that is two of them are out of the running. The two other big battle royales are PUBG and Call of Duty. Games flooded with cheaters. Like it's impossible to play those games without tripping over cheaters. Call of Duty and PUBG are also a bit of a mess. Like they're even though Call of Duty, once again, I think it has the best shooting, it's a mess. And Apex Legends are just in a weird state right now. But yeah, in that Fortnite game I played, because I played a game live when talking about it, and actually got a battle royale, impressively enough. Like somebody like starts shooting at me, and I just like walk around a corner and throw at one of the dancing grenades, and it's just like completely basically disarms them. And it's just like I just murder them with a shotgun because they got so close and missed. Like yeah, it was a good time. Okay. Next question. So next question is digital or hard copy. So you've basically been digital. You've been on PC for forever, and like basically everything forward of Half-Life. I'm sorry, Half-Life 2. Basically, well, Half-Life 2 actually, but everything forward of like Halo 2. Even Halo 2 was a digital key, right?
True.
So
Yes.
it had a hard copy. Have you kept your hard copy of Halo 2?
I still have it kicking around somewhere.
Yeah.
Might have to blow the dust off.
But you're obviously a child of the new age, as it were. You like digital stuff. You prefer it that way.
I like having a backup copy, but I also like having instant updates.
Yeah. Well, I like games being complete, so if they just complete the game and be done, I'd also be fine with that.
I like having a game that I can share, quote unquote.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Physically share.
But that's a question that's coming up later. Did you ever stop playing games and then start again? It was ever a period where you said, "I'm just too busy. I'm just too tired," and purposely stop for any reason?
Well, there's a couple times I rage quit.
Okay, that's fine.
Uh,
Like for me, like I'll just tell a story. Like you know this, the year I got married, one we didn't have internet that year, and I think we probably still did like a LAN party that year or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's like I purposely the year I got married and the year my daughter was born, I just really didn't game at all. Like, and it was a purposeful like I don't have time for this. Same thing when I built my house. I went at least 6 months without basically doing anything once we got rolling because it's just like I'm building an entire house. I don't have time for this. Like I want to game. Don't get me wrong, it's my number one pastime. But like building my own house means not having a mortgage, and not having a mortgage is obviously more important than basically everything else. It frees up infinite amounts of time later that I don't have to go to work or whatever. But
I would say, especially the last 2 years, I've been the busiest I've ever been in my life. And you work a 10-hour day, you come home, and you really want to game. It's like
Yeah,
you really want to sit upright in a gaming position as opposed to lie in bed and watch Netflix.
yeah, because it's just like we're both middle class guys. We're just regular people. We don't have office jobs. We use we use our bodies to make our money. That sounds a little wrong. We do physical labor in order to make money, and it's just like you like when you're machining parts, it's not. Sometimes you're just like I'm done because the fact is video games are kind of work. Like in some ways, like that's one of the reasons is FPS you can turn it off a little bit more, but it's like as somebody who like deeply loves RTSs, it's really you have to pay attention or you're not
Enemy
playing the
tanks
game.
are rolling
Yeah.
over the border, and I feel like I'm powerless.
You're falling asleep. Fair enough. Fair enough. Those moments of rage quit. What were they the most? Counter Strike.
Counter Strike, getting stabbed multiple times, getting causing you to go like lose weapon levels, and then you get stabbed again, and you're on the Glock 18, which takes 7 body hits to kill a person, or 3 headshots to kill a person, and then you get stabbed, and you have to do the Glock 18 again.
Excellent. Which season do you think is the best for gaming? As in season of the year, fall, spring, summer. Like when do you feel yourself wanting to do it the most?
Probably around the fall.
Yeah, that it's the same for me. Where it's like the fall is optimum because it's like really summer and winter are the best because it's like winter, it's cold anyways. We live in New York, like it's cold anyways, and then the summer it's too hot to go outside sometimes. So I think last night was one of those nights where you just kind of like you're off, but where you're just outside all day and you're just like it's evening and there's air conditioning in here and I want to do it, but it's like the fall. It's just like it's just cool and you want to put your sweater on and play some games. Like I don't know, it's something weird. I get spring fever. I don't want to do it in the spring, but
It's like I have a slight connection with. I mentioned Dangerous Hunts 2, which I played,
Yeah.
or I watched you play at your house. Actually, it was at Frankie's house, just down the road. And It's one of the first times I've been over, and we're playing this game. It's like this time of year, like late summer, early fall. Even when I was walking up the driveway, I'm like, wow, that just takes me back to the time we were playing Dangerous Hunts.
Starting to get.
Also, you have Age of Empires.
Yep.
I don't know, just fall. It just has that crisp fall feel.
And you
Association for me.
Yep. The how do you feel about remakes compared to mods and stuff like that? Where Age of Empires 2 is a game where they've obviously they've tricked us into buying it several times now, as you know. But it's like that new Age of Empires, I forget if it's Age of Empires HD or whichever one, Age of Empires 2 HD. How do you feel? Would you be okay with going back to the old one, or are you glad that there's those newer Steam versions? You did have to pay for it, but for $20, you're getting a much nicer experience. Do you think that's fair? Are you okay with spending the money on something like that?
I am. Mods I'm not as big into.
Yeah.
I'm always been more of a vanilla guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
But as far as like HD updates, it's like you're playing an old game that only supports 3:4 resolution. It's like you're gonna have black bars. You're not gonna get as much as your computer can offer. Having mods that open up the resolution capability, I'm totally on board with, and that's part of the reason why, for example, Halo 2. I have Halo 2 on hard copy. On some of my computers, it just doesn't support anything above 720p. It's like the your field of view, no support for it. Your gun's like this big half blob thing on the lower half of your screen. And when you play Halo 2 on the Master Chief Collection, you have proper field of view. Your gun looks good. It's in a proper frame of reference. I like HD support for older games.
Okay, so you're willing to even spend the money on it as long as you're getting the proper support, as it were.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is one that you brought up to me when we were talking about some questions, and I just want to hear your thoughts on cross-platform gaming, because obviously, as you said, playing with friends is what makes it worth it for you, and it's what you like doing the most, even though you told me the game you've actually played the most is a game you play by yourself. But obviously that's a play and chill game for you, a solitaire. But how do you think cross-platform play has helped and hindered? And since the people you play with a lot, because you actually play, as we say, a lot of Halo, the people you're playing with are often on controller. How do you think the aim assist hurts or helps? Because I know you have some thoughts on this one.
It's probably a necessary evil to make cross-platform play feasible.
Yeah.
Yes, you're just not gonna you're not gonna make the connections. You're not gonna make the hits as efficiently as people with aim assist. But it's a trade-off to being able to get to play together.
Yeah.
So one side doesn't feel unfairly disadvantaged.
Because we all get to self-righteously sit there and be like, yeah, if they were on a keyboard and mouse, I would demolish them. But it's like, that's not what they were raised with. I think we could easily be Xbox players if we happen to both have 360s, 12 years ago. But that's just not what it was. We had PCs because we were homeschoolers, so we had computers. It was just it's just things people had, So my next is so this is more of a weird one. So how do you feel about the morality of gaming? How do you feel about, obviously, Counter-Strike, for example, is extremely, Halo, we'll take Halo. Halo is an extremely violent game, by any terms of you're absolutely brutalizing the enemy, as it were, as the Master Chief. Do you think that my opinion. Let me just tell you where I'm at. My opinion is I'm a grown boy, and I look at it and I go, yeah, there are going to be things that aren't appropriate for children. And then we were playing Halo as basically children, but there's going to be things that aren't appropriate for children. But as an adult, you can go. I understand the difference between real violence and I'm an adult. I've seen real violence. I've seen people attacked. Seen people fight. I've seen people try to kill each other, like very literally. Like there was a lady in my work who tried to kill another lady last week. It was very exciting stuff. But the point being is, do you think that, for example, violence in video games? Obviously, there's a line for everything. But how do you feel? Do you think gaming is a moral hobby? Like, do you think it is? Do you think that the politicians in Washington have a point about it being too violent, or do you think it's just depends on the games you want to interact with?
I would say doing the real thing as opposed to shooting up someone on a video game is far more psychologically impactful. It just, you hear people who've actually been to war and been in the thick of it, and they're affected.
Yeah, where it's obvious that
Doing that on PC on on a video game is no comparison.
and I'm sure there's a soldier out there that hates video games, but it's like
True.
one of my friends, that he actually works at a gun store in Rochester, hilariously enough. He plays he plays video games. Like I've never heard him say a word because I've never actually heard a vet say anything except for Vietnam vets. They complain about every like a bunch of. I have some working with the food bank of Western New York. I've heard some complaints from
My
some Vietnam
former
vets.
my former pastor said, got up or asked the church, he's like, if anyone plays games where you murder other people, stand up. And I felt justified by not standing up because normally a war game is us versus them.
Yeah,
It's a simulation of war, not murder.
yeah. And that's it. I actually do draw a distinction there where it's just like I always say there's good writers and bad writers. A good writer just
Like, unless you're playing Hitman, okay, maybe.
yeah, okay. As somebody, I've played Hitman, so I kind of see it then. But even then, the context is you killing bad people. Like, that's the context of the Hitman game. It's like, yeah, you're still just a dude murdering people, and you can't just murder random people. But that doesn't, like, the idea that a computer person, it's the same idea, though, where it's just like, in a book, if you've read, like, you read a book, and many authors, the authors I enjoy just go like, and they had a passionate night, blah blah blah. They don't go into detail. Like the same thing. There's implied infidelity, and then there's actually showing it. And there's that line there where I go, you can show violence, you can show like you can interact with these things, and it's just an interesting conversation to me because it's like I do want to constantly calibrate myself because you can get too involved in any one thing. And yeah, I've never understood it. The idea that you'd read a book and now you would read a book and you go, well, now that I've read the book, I like that guy murdered someone in a book. Now I'm responsible for that. It's the same thing as playing a video game. I don't understand the difference where it's just like it's a video game. It's not real. The fact that you can't separate yourself between the difference of something that's fake and real and goes because something's fake, what you've done is wrong. And yeah, if you're playing an over sexualized game as an example, we could have a different conversation there where it's just like, yeah, it's fake, but we know that's doing damage where we know for a fact how impropriety in people's minds can act out in the real world. And many people who have done horrible things have played video games, but many people who haven't. This stuff has existed for eternity and time. I don't. It's a weird, never-ending subject, which I'm not.
Admittedly, I will say I have killed NPCs just to get their weapons.
Oh my! Well, yeah, hey, that's a Halo. That's a Halo thing where you go like. But once again, it's a video game. The idea that you're going to hurt someone in real life seems completely off board. Like I've never understood that logic. Okay, I'll try to ask. This isn't really a lighter question. The deeper we go here, the darker the questions are going to get. How much money do you spend on a year on gaming? How much do you think? Because I know this should be an easy one for you because it's got to be in the hundred. Well, you're a PC gamer. PC gaming's expensive. Like I'm saying, not just on games, but on the hardware. How much do you think you spend in a year? If you want to know how much I spend, I'll tell you. You're gonna like.
The older I get, the less I actually game. But
On average, about every maybe 3 or 4 years, I usually upgrade my system, build a new system.
That's a
and
respectable
and,
number.
and that's about around $1,000 a system,
Okay.
plus whatever add-ons I make here and there.
Do you think that's going to be more this time? I know you're getting closer to upgrading again, right? Like you're getting up there.
I'm thinking about it. I have a nephew who's showing interest in PC gaming, and it kind of got me itching to build another upgrade.
Okay. Because you normally do go because the year that I bought a 960, the year after that I think you bought you bought a 980 that year, I think, or the year after.
I bought
something like that.
two 1080s, but part of that was one 1080 was a replacement for another 1080.
Yeah. So that goes to the next one. What was your biggest gaming oopsie, David? Because you very interestingly, I'll put a picture of it up on the screen now if you get me some pictures, or I can find the old ones you sent me of your computer. You like building your own cases and stuff.
I do.
So the cases, the stuff you like open air type stuff a lot,
I do.
and that you've modified a few old little compacts into newer gaming computers because the motherboards are basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
But you've managed to shove it in there. Why don't you tell the story of your poor PC and what you did to the poor thing?
Well, for the life of me, I can't find anything that quite fits my style as far as game. I like small, compact, powerful. It's like the Defiant in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But when you try to cram all that stuff in, it's tight. So you try to modify things. You modify the case. You cut what needs to be cut. And wiring is a big issue. Wiring, it's like cable management, huge issue. Why don't they just make wires smaller? Well, I decided to make my own wires smaller. And I would literally cut the ATX pin cable in half, cut two of them, and resolder the wires together, color by color. This is why I prefer the colored cables over the black or white. Well, unfortunately, there was a dark yellow and a light orange wire that I combined, and the yellow wire is 12 volts and the orange wire is 3.3 volts, and that managed to destroy my motherboard, my graphics card, and my RAM. All in one push of the button.
Yeah, one mixed up wire. I was talking a friend of mine from work. He had modular power supplies, so he's like, Elon, my computer stopped working. I'm not sure what's wrong with what we're talking about. And he's like, yeah, I just upgraded my power supply. And I'm like, did you try putting the old one back in? He's like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I just unplugged everything and switched it. I'm like, you know that those cables are different, right? That all modular cables, basically, there's no standard for them. Like the pinouts are complete. And he discovered it the same way. Amazingly, he only fried his motherboard. That's what was impressive, is that's the only thing he fried. But it still, the fact that he did that, just, yeah. But did it catch on fire when you did this?
No, you just hear a high-pitched whine and maybe see a slight puff of smoke.
This little puff of smoke. Yeah, I've only caught I caught a power supply on fire one time, but I've never I've never rewired cables in that way, so I guess I've never done that. I did sear the end of my fingers to a processor once. That was a good time, but
Practice makes perfect. I did manage to find more efficient ways to decouple the pins in a ATX connector, and as long as you're careful, keep a multimeter on you. The sky's the limit as far as customizability. The lesson learned is that I figured out what went wrong and figured out, or now I know better what to avoid. I'll keep modding computers because I'm good with my hands. I'm good with making things the way I want to make them. But you got to learn those lessons along the way.
so next question. Oh, how do you feel about ROMs downloading, sharing games? Where's the line for you? A lot of people would say that, holding a Nintendo ROM is technically a crime if you own the game, having a ROM. But how do you feel? Because if Nintendo's not going to provide decent access to their games, I'm over it. Like, same thing. I'm happy to keep a digital copy of Star Wars. If I bought one on a VCR tape in the 1990s, I'm not going to rebuy your thing I've already bought. As long as it's the same copy, the same thing, I'm happy to keep a copy of it.
You talking about emulating hardware on
emulating games you don't own, like more the legal gray area of what is theft.
Technically, I would have to say, based on the definition of the law, like if you're downloading music off of YouTube, that's technically theft.
So let me ask you this: where it becomes gray for me is I'm with you. Theft is theft. I'm with you.
Have I done it? Probably. Yes.
Maybe, probably yes. But the question is we go, okay. In my case, I want to play a game that, like, there's lots of games. I like Fire Emblem games. You don't really know this about me because Fire Emblem games are a single player game and you play them on the Switch. So you literally never see me play. When I play them in bed at night when my wife is watching something I do not care about. I'm just playing a Fire Emblem game. They're like strategy games.
Try Solitaire.
I don't love Solitaire as much as you do. But there are patches for some of those games because some of them never came to America. And it's like there's English patches, and if you want to play them, you download the game, you download the patch. Like that's how you do it. And it's like for me, I will buy things, as you can tell. I love buying things. It just goes. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play the game in the end. Like I'm not gonna let the barrier to entry completely stop me. Since we were, and I'm actually. You can tell me if you have a different thought, but I'm kind of pro piracy. Like I think piracy for particularly young people, the reason we're into gaming is piracy. Like, right? Like we didn't all own copies of Counter-Strike 1.6, did we? Did we, David? We did not. And it's just like, yeah, at the time we didn't understand the legality of it the way we do now. We do understand it now, and we do. The reason I'm pro piracy in that way is because how many dollars have you given to Steam now, David? Like, right?
True.
Like, true. Like, it's like I'm pro it now because it returns sevenfold because I bought Age of Empires 5 times now. Like, they just keep re-releasing Age of Empires 2, and I keep buying it. I don't know why. But do you feel that it, and under certain circumstances, it's 2001 and we're trying to have a LAN party? Who cares?
If I'm what it boils down to me is if I'm having a hankering to play a old specific game, like for example, last winter I played through Super Metroid 2, I think it was.
And you bought a copy?
No, I didn't buy it. Nope. I just couple Google searches, and I found it and found a emulator. And yeah, sure, the keyboard positioning is weird, but you get used to it. Played through Super Metroid 2 on my laptop, and I started at 6 in the morning and ended at like 2 in the afternoon without moving. I'm like, whoa! I'm normally not that engaged in a game.
Well, Super Metroid 2 is an amazing game. Like,
Yes.
I understand that. Are you getting worse? Are you getting worse at gaming as you get older? Is it practice, or are you actually getting worse?
Not sure. It's like generally according to the numbers and trends, probably. So
But you think it has more to do with a lack of practice?
probably, but it's still hard to tell because the question is, am I getting worse or am I constantly going up against better players?
Yeah, or are they cheating, which is also feels part of the
It's
problem.
like if you and me played a round of Counter-Strike, I'd probably kick your butt.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've been feeling very, very much like an inept butt kicker lately.
Yeah. Okay. This is the last question. Anything you want to say before we get to the last question?
No.
No. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We've been we've been going
Comprehensive.
for 45 minutes. Like, will you ever stop gaming?
Probably not 100%, but as I get older, more priorities come into my life. More interesting things, more meaningful things.
Like skydiving, yeah, but family is more meaningful than gaming.
True.
Like,
True.
yeah.
Maybe I'll find a wife one day and
Adjust your priorities, or maybe
Exactly.
you'll game to get away from her. Like, I'm with you. I used to actually think a little bit more like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. The more your life gets busy, the harder it's going to be to find ways to kind of like check out for a little bit, because you just got to you got to separate yourself from things. And I've actually found gaming to be, I do less of it, but what I do is more meaningful. I do it with more purpose. Because I'm going to game for an hour, and I want all of the screamers to go somewhere else, and I'm just going to focus on this, and then I'm going to do whatever else I have to get done.
I'll say a different perspective of what I'm saying is gaming for me. It's doing it with people.
Yeah.
And
So you think?
or people I love and value, and I'm 31. My nephews and nieces, they're all coming to age. They're all in their upper teens, and they game on Xbox and PlayStation, but they're also getting jobs, and they're good jobs and girlfriends, and their lives are taking off, and gaming is also becoming less important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm a bit more staunch and well, some might say stunted, but the less the people you care about the things you care about, the less you should think about prioritizing. Well, maybe we should start doing other stuff and rethinking life in general.
You know, always be recalibrating. No,
Recalibrating.
that's good. Like, because yeah, you've always been.
You can be the fun uncle for so long, and then you just got to kind of do your own thing because they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, that's a good plan. But guys, this has been my interview with David Martin. I'm hoping to do more interviews with more people. I know David well, so I made the interview easy, where other people are going to be more difficult. And any closing
Trust
thoughts?
me, I can be difficult.
Yeah, well, yeah, we know you can be difficult. But guys, that's all for today. If you liked this video, if you like this kind of talking to random people in this format, I'm hoping to do a version like on the street, people's favorite games or something like that format. I'm interested to see how that would work. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want to ever see stuff like this again or anything like that. Have a beautiful day.